Nature is not a place to visit, it's our home. Nature is all that we see. Animals, insects, disappearing into their surroundings. Using deceptions, disguises, lures. Nature is all that we hear. The call of an eagle, the hiss of ocean spray, the rumble of thunder, the doings of a cricket. The wonderful beauty of nature, the crucial, fragile affinity between animal life and their environment. All of this is World of the Wild. The world's largest and most populated continent, Asia, is also home to some of the world's most extraordinary tropical jungles. From the evergreen lowland ranges to the cool cloud forests of the mountain regions, there are areas of jungle habitat here dating back over 100 million years. In this episode, we venture into the heart of the jungle to learn the wisdom of Asian elephants, hang with nocturnal fruit bats, learn the Porsche Spider's ingenious hunting strategies, bask in the rivers with water buffalo, and witness the python's deadly embrace. Revered for centuries in Asia, with important roles in religion and culture across the continent, elephants are an iconic inhabitant of the Asian jungle. However, their future in this environment is less assured. Male Asian elephants stand around 3 meters high at the shoulder and can weigh over 5 tons. Marginally smaller than their African cousins, they are the second largest terrestrial animal in the world. But on the vast continent of Asia, no other animal even comes close. For all their size, Asian elephants can be remarkably discreet. Their grey coat offers a surprisingly effective camouflage in their shady jungle habitat. And wide feet with thick pads of fatty tissues distribute their weight, allowing them to walk in near silence. Unlike their African counterparts, most female Asian elephants lack tusks, and so do some males. However, on both continents, poaching for black market ivory as well as meat and leather continues to be a threat. While sexually mature males are more solitary, elephants are social animals and tend to live in tightly knit family groups. With each adult consuming 150 kilograms of vegetation a day, few environments are capable of supporting a herd of mega herbivores. Few environments, that is, except the luscious Asian jungle. In fact, in this habitat, it seems the elephants are struggling to keep up. Having developed specialized molars for breaking down the fibrous plant matter of the jungle, Asian elephants will nonetheless go through 6 sets of teeth in their lifetime. Unfortunately, cultivated crops, such as bananas and rice, are also favored foods for elephants, bringing them into conflict with farmers. With agriculture continuing to spread into the jungles, these conflicts show no signs of easing. The tropical climate that prevails over much of the Asian jungle means there is no dry season. Downpours can occur here at any time, and every month there is a minimum of 60 millimeters rainfall. For a species that lacks sweat glands, in the warm jungle environment, rain is a vital asset. And so too are the abundant jungle waterways the rain provides. Requiring over 100 litres of water a day, more if bathing, elephants are never found far from a water source. And with the jungle's reliable network of streams, creeks and rivers, they never have to be. With such a huge surface area of skin, water is crucial for elephants to cool themselves. But their frequent visits to the jungle waterways are also valuable in reinforcing social bonds. Once ranging across most of continental Asia, today elephants are found only in fragmented populations in just 15% of their original range. Cut off from their ancient migratory routes by human settlement and infrastructure, habitat loss is the elephant's greatest threat. Nature reserves and replanting programs are helping offset the degradation of the elephant's habitat, but a more unified effort is required to protect the jungles and allow this colossus to once again thrive across the continent. Come nightfall, a different breed of jungle inhabitant takes to the skies. High above the dangers of the jungle floor, fruit bats dedicate their days to an inverted form of rest and relaxation. Hanging by their toes for hours on end, bats have developed specialized tendons that allow them to cling to their roosts without expending energy. Despite having free rein over the jungle skies, fruit bats are highly social animals, preferring to remain in close proximity to one another. They roost and feed in dense congregations. Commonly known as flying foxes for their fox-like faces, fruit bats are among the largest bat varieties in the world. Some species boasting weights of up to 1.6 kilograms and wingspans over 1.5 meters wide, they are properly known as megabats. With a wide distribution, megabat populations can be found in parts of the Mediterranean, Africa and Australia, with the greatest range of species found in Asia. The only mammals capable of flying, the majority of bats are hunters, feeding on insects and small animals. But the jungles of Asia offer many food sources, and the fruit bat has adapted to feed exclusively on the abundance of fruit varieties that grow here. Distinguished from the majority of bat species, megabats in the jungles of Asia have lost their capacity to navigate through echolocation. In seeking out fruit, the senses of smell and sight are far more important, and the facial structure of fruit bats, with long noses, enlarged eyes and reduced ears, has evolved to reflect this. With teeth adapted to bite through hard fruit skins, megabats often won't consume the entire fruit, preferring to suck the energy-rich juices inside. Their primarily liquid diet aids in their rapid digestive system, and consuming over twice their body weight in a single night, fruit bats process their feeds quickly so that they remain light enough to fly. The voracious feeding of megabats provides important services to the jungle ecosystem. Flying from tree to tree, grains of pollen are distributed via the bat's fur, allowing the vital process of pollination to take place. Fruit seeds are also distributed through their nutritionally rich excrement, some of which will take root on the jungle floor and grow into new fruit trees. Come dawn, the bats return to their roosts, where they will spend the daylight hours recovering from their busy night. The bats return to their roosts and settle in for a day of rest in their inimitable upside-down style. With the coming of dusk, this hardy species will take to the wing once more, venturing into the darkening jungle in their tens of thousands for another night of feeding, a cycle that both the bats and the jungles depend on. The bountiful jungles of Asia are crawling with life, not all of which is obvious at first glance. By far the most abundant and diverse life forms to be found here are the invertebrates. Existing within their own small-scale jungle world, these animals can easily be overlooked by the casual observer. But each creature has a distinct role to play within the larger jungle ecosystem, and each exhibits a range of specialized adaptations in order to survive here. Occupying a unique place in this complex web of life is the Porsche Spider, which has adapted to outwit and feed upon their own kind. Adept and clever predator of the invertebrate world, the Porsche spider is first and foremost a master of self-preservation. Vulnerable to other invertebrates as well as larger jungle species such as birds and reptiles, the distinctive walking gait of the Porsche assists their already effective body camouflage. Pausing at irregular intervals and continuously waving their legs with varied speed and timing, the Porsche mimics the tricks of light from the forest canopy. In this way, they are able to pursue their prey through the often treacherous habitat without being predated upon themselves. With their favorite food source being the other spiders of the jungle, Porsches are noted for their intelligent range of hunting tactics and problem-solving abilities, traits more commonly associated with much larger creatures. Willing to take long detours in order to approach their prey unseen, the Porsche spider has learned to alter its technique to get the better of the jungle's countless other arachnids. Tiptoeing on the webs of other spiders, the Porsche will disguise the vibrations it creates by timing its approach to coincide with the gentle gusts of the breeze. Once the Porsche is within range, a straightforward ambush attack can be utilized. As jumping spiders, Porsches leap with speed and accuracy, landing atop their quarry and immediately administering their venom. The stunned victim never even knows what hit it. This brutal and effective surprise attack allows the canny Porsche spider to feed on fellow arachnids up to twice its own size. Hunting by day or night, the Porsche spider's ability to outwit their prey in the Asian jungle is unaffected. One of their most deceptive and brilliant techniques involves entering the web of other spiders and drawing them out through the trialing of different vibrations. Patiently testing alternating patterns, the Porsche will use their quarry's web to mimic the vibrations of a trapped insect. Until their prey makes the fatal mistake of coming to investigate. As long as their habitat and fellow spiders remain undisturbed, this smart and adaptable creature will continue to thrive. The jungles of Asia are fed by a network of rivers, sneaking their way through the trees. It is these waterways that shape the jungle landscape and the life that inhabits it. Never far from the water, the aptly named Asian water buffalo inhabits the swamps and wet grasslands that the jungle river ecosystem supports. Asian buffaloes spend great parts of their day basking in the water to regulate their body temperature in the hot, humid forests and to avoid pests. They have also adapted to graze with their heads submerged, pulling up the nutritionally rich aquatic plants that grow underwater. They chew above the surface before diving for another mouthful. While some of the plants they feed on are valued by farmers, and thus bring the wild buffalo into conflict with humans, other plants, such as the water hyacinth, are an invasive species in Asia, and in feeding on them, the buffalo assists in keeping the jungle waterways clear. Hybrids of wild and domesticated varieties are more commonly encountered in the jungle and display a range of physical characteristics. Weighing well over a ton and standing nearly 2 meters tall, Asian buffalo are amongst the largest of the Bovidae family. Their distinctive horns, however, are bigger than any living bovid species. Thick-based and spreading up to 2 meters wide, these massive horns are sported by both males and females and can be used in fighting, self-defense, and most frequently, in creating mud holes in the ground. Their self-made mud holes allow water buffaloes to engage in one of their favorite behaviors, wallowing. By rolling about in the sludge, Asian buffalo are able to coat themselves in a thick layer of mud, not only keeping them cool, but protecting their skin from the ravages of the sun and jungle parasites. When parasites do set in, the buffalo have developed a symbiotic relationship with several species of jungle bird. Allowing their winged friends free rein, the birds are granted an easy meal, while the buffalo is relieved of the ticks and mites that cling to their coats. Domesticated and selectively bred over thousands of years, the water buffalo is today the most depended upon domestic animal in the world, providing labor as well as meat and milk. But it is their domestication and the ever-expanding imprint of agriculture in the jungle regions that threatens to wipe out the true wild buffalo. Although closely related, wild buffalo are a separate species to the domestic variety, and genetically pure lines are rapidly diminishing and increasingly fragmented throughout the jungle. It is believed there are still sufficient numbers to support genetic diversity into the future, but preserving enough jungle habitat and keeping hybrid varieties from contaminating the pure lines are significant challenges that remain for this endangered species. From the trees to the undergrowth and into the waters, the pythons of the Asian jungle are masters of their environment. Predominantly ambush hunters, pythons are patient predators. Well camouflaged in the jungles of Asia, pythons can take up position virtually anywhere as they wait for their prey to come to them. While all snakes are descended from a venomous ancestor, the python family has lost its ability to produce venom. Instead, pythons utilize their long, muscular bodies to wrap their victims in a constrictive embrace, opting for suffocation over poison. With 26 distinctive python species spread across Asia, Africa and Australia, the year-round warm temperatures of the Asian jungle provide the optimum climate for pythons, allowing them to efficiently draw heat from their surroundings. As a result, these jungles are not only home to a dramatically varied range of snakes, but also the biggest. While several Asian species are capable of overpowering an adult deer, this environment is home to the longest snake on the planet, a 6.5 meter long reticulated python. Across all species of python, jungle rodents comprise a great part of their diet. And upon a successful strike, the quarry is immobilized by the snake's backward curving teeth, while their powerful body coils around to make the kill. Swallowing their meals whole, the python's free-floating jaw allows it to slowly work its mouth around the victim's body, slathering it in saliva and assist its passage into the stomach, where it will be digested over the course of days or even weeks. Excellent climbers and deadly amongst the undergrowth, pythons are also superb swimmers. With much of the Asian jungle crossed by rivers and wetlands, these snakes are granted free rein over their habitat, accounting for their wide distribution throughout the jungle. As egg-laying snakes, the female python will incubate her clutch to maintain the embryos at a constant temperature, vigilantly guarding the unhatched young from the other predators of the jungle. She will not eat until they hatch. The warm and humid jungle climes assist the mother in the incubation, but it is her monitoring of the egg's temperature and the adjustment of her body to keep them within the optimum range. Left to fend for themselves, these young snakes not only face the natural threats of the jungle, but man-made hazards as well. Particularly vulnerable to forest fires, the deliberate slash and burn practices of palm oil plantations are, every year, killing increasing numbers of pythons, along with other wildlife. Until these practices are stamped out, the future of these snakes and the environment they have so successfully adapted to remains at risk. With unrivaled biological diversity, the jungles of Asia are home to some of the planet's most varied and fascinating species. We have seen just a few: the stately Asian elephant, voracious fruit bats, ingenious Porsche spiders, iconic water buffalo, and constricting pythons. As the most populated continent continues to expand, the jungles of Asia are among the most rapidly disappearing habitats on Earth. With deforestation threatening to wipe them out, agriculture and palm oil plantations demand vast areas of land, and logging operations, both legal and illegal, continue to ravage the jungles as well as the wildlife that depends on them. From the unsustainable profits of industry to continued benefits of conservation, the jungles of Asia are to be saved. Nature is not a place to visit, it's our home. Nature is all that we see. Animals, insects, disappearing into their surroundings, using deceptions, disguises, lures. Nature is all that we hear: the call of an eagle, the hiss of ocean spray, the rumble of thunder, the doings of a cricket. The wonderful beauty of nature, the crucial, fragile affinity between animal life and their environment. All of this is World of the Wild. The Great Barrier Reef. The largest coral reef system in the world, it stretches for over 2,300 kilometres along the east coast of Australia. Comprised of billions of tiny life forms known as coral polyps, the reef is the largest structure on Earth made from living organisms, so large that it is visible from outer space. With the continent of Australia uplifting into its solitary position tens of millions of years ago, the land mass was raised above normal sea levels, creating a base platform for the reef at the perfect depth for corals to flourish. In this episode, we delve into the waters of the Coral Sea to explore its colourful environment and examine the diverse animal life that it's home to. We will search for the concealed octopus, follow green sea turtles on their journeys, comb the seagrass with dugongs, learn the secrets of jellyfish, and hunt with white-tip reef sharks. Teeming with life, the Great Barrier Reef supports a densely interwoven ecosystem. Taking advantage of the coral infrastructure, octopuses are among the most intelligent and versatile of the reef's inhabitants. Perfectly adapted to life among the nooks and crannies of this maze-like construction of the reef system, octopuses lack any sort of skeleton, making them remarkable contortionists. Squeezing into the most improbable spaces, the octopus is able to both protect itself from predators and launch ambush attacks on passing prey. All octopuses are venomous, but one takes this adaptation to the extreme: the blue-ringed octopus. Despite their small stature, blue rings are one of the world's most venomous marine animals. Powerful enough to kill creatures far larger than itself, at any one time a single blue-ringed octopus carries enough venom to kill 26 humans within minutes. Navigating the reef system by expelling water in a form of jet propulsion, the blue ring spends the majority of its time hiding in the coral crevices.
Masters of disguise, not only can blue rings change their color in a split second, but they are also able to alter the texture of their skin in order to blend seamlessly with their surroundings. And the blue ring employs it to deadly effect when pursuing its preferred prey, the small crabs and shrimp. Hunting by vision, when stalking prey in the open, the blue ring blends so effectively with its environment that it can steadily approach its quarry and attack before the victim knows what hit it. Seizing prey with its tentacles, the blue-ringed octopus uses its horny beak-like mouth to puncture through the crustacean's exoskeleton and deliver a different kind of venom. Reserving their most potent venom for self-defense, blue rings administer a less potent toxin in hunting. The effect is the same, paralyzing the victim in seconds and allowing the octopus to safely consume its quarry. Facing few threats in the wild, the greatest danger to the blue-ringed octopus is the degradation of its ocean habitat. In the case of the Great Barrier Reef, the coral that underpins the entire ecosystem faces an uncertain future. With 80% of the land adjacent to the reef used for farming, the runoff from fertilizer and pesticides is a major health risk for the reef and the life it supports. As the connectivity between the environments of the land and the sea are becoming more widely understood, integrated management plans are needed to ensure the future of the blue ring, the reef, and all the life it supports. Of the 7 species of marine turtle, 6 can be found in the Great Barrier Reef. The most abundant of these is the green sea turtle, which has its nesting grounds on the islands of the reef system. Feeding on the abundant sea grasses and algae of the warm waters of the Coral Sea, adult turtles are exclusively herbivores. Juveniles, however, have a broader, more carnivorous diet, targeting animal life including crustaceans and jellyfish. Whether in the open water or tucked into the crevices of the reef system, green sea turtles know few natural predators, thanks to the evolution of their shell. Streamlined for effective swimming, this armored carapace encloses the vital organs and is all but impenetrable to attack. Only large sharks stand a chance against the robust shield, and even then, green sea turtles can be surprisingly difficult to catch. Despite their slow-moving reputation, turtles are powerful swimmers, and when threatened, employ their paddle-like flippers to reach underwater speeds of over 55 kilometers an hour. For these migrating turtles, the Great Barrier Reef is not just a breeding ground but a cleaning station. Throughout the reef system, turtles have developed a symbiotic relationship with various species of cleaning fish. This mutually beneficial arrangement sees the fish given an easy feast and the turtles relieved of the tiny parasites that come to congregate on their shells. Taking decades to reach sexual maturity, females do not breed until they are around 45 years old. And while males annually visit the sheltered breeding sites of the Great Barrier Reef, females only breed every 2 to 4 years. When she is in a breeding year, the female controls the process, mating with multiple males to fertilize her clutch of over 100 eggs. Then, along with her fellow gestating females, she makes the arduous journey to the surface. With almost 1,000 islands dotted throughout the Great Barrier Reef, green sea turtles have a range of nesting areas. Graceful creatures in the sea, the laying females face an exhausting journey on land as they drag their near 200-kilogram bulks up the beaches in order to bury their nests beneath the sand. This is goodbye for the mother and her young. She will not stay with her children. Instead, she is heading back to the waters of the Coral Sea. Around 10 weeks later, the eggs hatch. Surfacing en masse, they make their perilous journey back to the sea. This process of crossing the beach is thought to imprint the hatchlings with the cues they need to find their way back when it is their time to breed. But many will not make it. With their mothers long gone, the hatchlings must fend for themselves against predators such as crabs that pick the vulnerable turtles off as easy meals. For the green sea turtle, this, their first journey from nest to sea, is the most dangerous of their lives. And even for those that manage to swim away, the future is far from certain for this endangered species. Not all about coral, with shallower sections of this marine environment encompassing large sandy tracts dominated by seagrasses and other plant species. Specialized for life in this niche environment of underwater meadows is the sea cow, otherwise known as the dugong. Capable of diving to almost 40 meters, these oxygen-breathing mammals prefer the shallower waters between the reef and coastline. Here, in depths averaging 10 meters, the seagrass beds they depend on are most abundant. Highly specialized marine herbivores, dugongs have adapted perfectly to their grazing lifestyle. Their elongated snouts face downwards, ending in enlarged, muscular upper lips. Pressing these lips to the seafloor, they sift through and pull out entire plants, including the roots, shaking them free of sand before ingesting large mouthfuls. While they may look like giant vacuum cleaners running indiscriminately along the seafloor, in the Great Barrier Reef, the dugongs avoid bulk eating by targeting high nitrogen, low fiber varieties of seagrass. Coastal development, boat traffic and pollution all degrade seagrass communities, and it is these anthropogenic factors that are endangering the future of the dugong. Because they are evolved for such a specific marine environment, to protect the seagrass habitat is to protect the dugong. Social animals, dugongs are rarely seen in large numbers because of the lack of seagrass beds to support them. However, in times of plenty, herds in their hundreds have been witnessed coming together. While numbers of this shy and elusive creature are difficult to gauge, the Great Barrier Reef is considered to support a stable and healthy dugong population. Although fishing-related fatalities continue to occur, dugongs are protected in many countries by strict anti-hunting laws. Slow-moving creatures, the average speed of a dugong is just 10 kilometers per hour, even less when feeding. This gentle pace allows for fish such as remoras to travel with the dugongs, cleaning them of the parasites that settle on their skin. Long-lived mammals with a lifespan of around 70 years and a slow reproduction rate, preserving this endangered species will require a sustained commitment for many years to come. The corals of the Great Barrier Reef are living things, made up of colonies of thousands of organisms growing over the calcified remains of their ancestors. Linked by their simple anatomical design and carnivorous feeding habits, corals are part of a group of animals called cnidarians. The basis of the Great Barrier Reef are tiny stony coral organisms called polyps, members of the cnidarian family. When these polyps attached to the continental shelf around Australia's northeast coast, they divided into thousands of clones to form colonies. As polyps are soft-bodied, they secrete a protective limestone skeleton around themselves, and in this way, the reef was formed over millions of years by billions of polyps. Gradually growing by around a centimetre each year, the coral reached up toward the light like trees in a rainforest, and once at the surface, spread outward to create the stunning formations we know today. Vastly different in appearance, the free-floating cnidarian cousin of the coral is the jellyfish. While the sedentary corals of the Great Barrier Reef required clear, sunlit waters at a very particular depth range, the mobile jellyfish is far less fussy and can be found in almost every ocean on the planet. A non-polyp form of cnidaria, the name jellyfish is somewhat of a misnomer, as invertebrates they lack a spine and therefore are not true fish. Fish they may not be, but jellies are actually the most energy-efficient swimmers in the ocean. While they lack speed and have only limited control over their movement, the jellyfish's pulsating motion creates a tiny vortex effect in the water, demonstrated to provide effective transport with a minimum energy output. As carnivores, jellies feed on the plankton, crustaceans, even other jellies that are abundant throughout the reef. Each tentacle houses thousands of tiny cells containing stinging thread-like harpoons called nematocysts. When a tentacle happens to brush against prey, the nematocysts uncoil, piercing the victim's flesh and injecting their paralyzing venom. Found in the offshore waters of the reef during the tropical wet season, box jellyfish are considered among the most venomous animals in the world. While jellies feed on small fish, certain fish species of the reef have evolved a symbiotic relationship with their would-be predator. With an immunity to the stinging nematocysts, these fishes shelter among the otherwise deadly tentacles, gaining protection from other ocean predators. Having wandered the seas for over 500 million years, jellyfish are considered the oldest multi-organ animal on the planet. In evolutionary terms, simplicity is often the best. And there is evidence that jellyfish numbers are increasing globally despite changes in the oceans that are unfavorable for other species. Recent research is suggesting that jellyfish are resistant to ocean acidification caused by global warming. And while creatures such as sharks, tuna, and sea turtles may prey on jellyfish, overfishing is reducing many of their predators. So, while greenhouse gases and intensive fishing are having a harmful effect on the reef and most of the life it harbours, it seems that the humble and ancient jellyfish is able to float on as it has for millennia. With an abundance of life comes an abundance of predators, and the Great Barrier Reef is no different. Of the variety of sharks that inhabit the teeming waters of the reef's rich ecosystem, the white-tip reef shark is the true specialist of this coral environment. One of the most common sharks found on the reef, the white-tip is relatively small, around 1.5 meters in length, and has a slender build which allows it to pursue prey through the cracks and crevices of the coral. In fact, the white-tip's lithe, elongated body is so specifically designed for hunting in tight spaces that it must swim with a strong undulating motion, making it quite clumsy in open water hunting. Although vulnerable to predation from other, larger shark species, white-tip reef sharks remain an apex predator on the Great Barrier Reef, controlling populations of fish, crustaceans, and octopuses. While they may hunt opportunistically during the day, white-tips are nocturnal creatures, and with the onset of dusk, the true nature of the white-tip is revealed. Methodically patrolling the coral reef in loosely organized groups, white-tip reef sharks hunt by smell and by employing their sixth sense, detecting the faint electrical fields generated by their prey. The white-tip's remarkable sense of electroreception allows them to locate creatures hiding or sleeping within the coral, forcing their way into the holes of the reef face, often with enough vigor to break the coral and damage their own skin. White-tips feed on the plentiful aquatic life sheltering within the reef, like goatfish and parrotfish. Hunting in packs, the relentless white-tips work together to drive out prey but do not share the spoils. Unlike grey reef sharks or their black-tip counterparts, the competitive feeding of white-tips is more well-mannered and does not stir them into feeding frenzies. After dawn, the new day will find the sociable white-tips recovering from their busy nights. Resting in groups, they have the rare ability among sharks to remain motionless, pumping water over their gills to allow respiration. So well adapted to their reef hunting lifestyle, white-tips do not require an extensive range. Tending to occupy small patches of reef, around a square kilometre in size, they rarely venture far from their modest home range. With diminishing numbers, the white-tip reef shark's limited range and slow reproduction rate has seen them classified as a near-threatened species. Fortunately, in the Great Barrier Reef, the no-entry zones boast populations 80% higher than in fishing zones, and this method of conservation has demonstrated a solution for preserving the species of expert coral hunters. Recognized as one of the 7 wonders of the natural world, the Great Barrier Reef is a beautiful marine environment, brimming with life. In this episode, we have seen octopuses, green sea turtles, dugongs, jellyfish, and white-tip reef shark. Such an extensive reef system is subject to a range of challenges. Increasing water temperatures are already taking their toll on the fragile corals. And these changing conditions have allowed the coral-eating crown of thorn starfish to flourish. Considered rainforests of the sea, the shallow coral reef system is one of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet. And with dedicated management, the hope is that it can remain so for generations to come.